In a far corner of the galaxy, there was a time when almost every star system was touched by war. Alien fleets moved from one world to another, their ships burning like comets in the night sky. The two biggest groups, the Dravans and the Yulari, were locked in a fight that had gone on for years. They used every weapon they had, every trick and every ship, just to get ahead of the other. Most smaller worlds tried to stay out of it. They hid, sent messages of peace, or offered bribes to the side that seemed stronger that day. But nothing lasted. If a planet was lucky, it would only lose its resources. If unlucky, its cities would burn, its people forced to run. Or worse, Earth was different. The humans had learned from history. Many years ago, before they reached for the stars, humans had fought wars on their own planet. These wars had taught them pain, loss, and the cost of pride. When humans joined the galactic community, they decided they would never start a war without reason. They built their own part of space, strong but peaceful. The other worlds respected this, or at least they pretended to. But war is like a storm. It sweeps in when no one expects. One cold morning, a human colony named Harmony was hit. People woke to the sound of alarms and the shaking of the ground as missiles rained down from the sky. The Dravans had sent a fleet, thinking they would show the humans who was boss. In just a few hours, Harmony was in flames. Families ran for their lives, calling for help. By the time the attack was over, the colony was gone. The news spread fast. On every human world, screens showed pictures of burning buildings and empty streets. The leaders of Earth held a meeting with their top commanders and advisors. People were angry, but more than that, they were afraid. Would this be the start of more attacks? Would the Dravans keep coming, burning one world after another? The Galactic Council, made up of many races, sent their regrets. But everyone knew the truth. In the galaxy, only the strong survived. Humans could not rely on anyone but themselves. On the night after the attack, the Earth's president spoke to the people. Her voice was steady. "We did not ask for this fight," she said, "but we will not let our worlds burn. We will answer." The message was clear to everyone watching across the stars. That same night, in an old, almost forgotten part of the human military base, a group of engineers received a secret order. They were told to open the oldest space dock, one that had not been used in over 100 years. Some of the engineers whispered to each other as they walked in. The doors were covered in dust and old paint. There was a feeling that something important was about to happen. Inside the dock, sitting in the dark, was a huge ship. It was not like the new ships, which were shiny and filled with the latest technology. This ship was big and heavy, made of thick armor and strong engines. Its name, faded but still visible on the side, was Leviathan. Most people thought the Leviathan was just a story, a legend from the days when humans first reached the stars. Some said it had fought in wars long before most of the galaxy's current leaders were born. Others said it was broken, too old to fly, let alone fight. The engineers had heard all these stories, but now they were being asked to bring it back to life. News of the humans' plan spread quickly. Alien leaders sent messages to each other, laughing at the idea. "They are sending an old ship to fight a modern war," one Yulari general joked. "Maybe they will bring their old swords." "Two!" The galaxy was filled with stories and jokes about the humans' choice, but the human commanders didn't laugh. They knew what the Leviathan really was. It had been built for a different kind of war, a war where you could not always count on help, and where survival meant being stronger and smarter than your enemy. The ship had secret upgrades, many added by each new crew that served on her. Some said the ship was even smarter than the people who flew her. As the engineers got to work, they were joined by a new crew. The captain was a quiet man named Grant. He had gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. His crew came from every human world. Men and women, young and old, all chosen for their courage and skills. Grant walked the empty halls of the Leviathan, his footsteps echoing on the metal floor. He ran his hand along the walls, remembering stories told by his grandfather, who had also served on this ship. He knew the risk. The galaxy thought humans were making a mistake, but Grant believed in the Leviathan. In the days that followed, the ship came alive again. Lights flickered on. Old engines rumbled, then roared. Weapons, some so old they looked out of place, were checked and made ready. The AI, a voice named Helena, spoke for the first time in years. "Welcome back, Captain," she said. "Are we going to war?" "Yes, Helena," Grant answered. "It's time." Outside, on every human world, people watched as the Leviathan was pulled out of its dock and prepared for launch. Some cheered, some cried, all felt a mix of hope and fear. They knew this might be their only chance. Meanwhile, the Dravans and Yulari prepared for their next attack. Their fleets circled another human colony, sure that victory was near. Their commanders gave speeches, promising an easy win. They did not worry about an old warship. In their minds, the fight was already over. But in the silence of space, the Leviathan's engines came to life. The old ship turned toward the stars, ready to face the galaxy once more. And so the story began, not just of a war, but of a legend. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the oldest power is the strongest, and that humans do not give up easily. When the Leviathan left its old dock, people all across the galaxy stopped what they were doing. Human families watched on their screens, holding their breath. Children pointed at the heavy ship, asking their parents if it was true. Could something so old really help them win? Even in the farthest alien worlds, leaders asked their spies for updates. Was this a real threat, or just a strange show by desperate humans? The ship moved slowly at first. Its engines, silent for so long, rumbled like a sleeping giant waking up. The hull was scratched and covered in marks from battles fought long ago. The crew walked the narrow halls, fixing wires, checking computers, and testing weapons. There was no time to waste. Everyone worked together, knowing they carried the hopes of all human worlds. Captain Grant led the crew with calm, quiet strength. He spoke little, but when he did, people listened. He spent hours with his officers, looking over old maps and battle plans. Many in the crew had never seen real combat. Some felt nervous. Grant noticed the worry in their faces and gathered everyone in the main hall. "I know you are scared," Grant said, his voice steady. "But this ship has seen more battles than any of us. It is strong because the people who came before us made it that way. We will do our duty, and we will not fail. The galaxy will remember what humans are made of." The AI Helena helped guide the crew. Her voice came through speakers, calm and gentle. She reminded the crew to check every detail, sometimes telling a joke to lighten the mood. She shared stories from the ship's past, talking about heroes who once walked the same halls. These stories gave the crew hope, reminding them that they were not alone. As the Leviathan reached the edge of human space, enemy sensors picked up the old warship. The Dravan fleet, led by Commander Krath, prepared for battle. Krath was known for his cold mind and quick temper. He looked at the images of the Leviathan and laughed. "That is the ship they send?" Krath said to his officers. "Let them come. We will destroy it and send the pieces back to Earth." The Dravan ships moved into position, forming a wall. Around the human colony they planned to attack. Their weapons were ready, shields up, and pilots eager for a quick victory. All the Dravan soldiers believed this would be an easy day. The Leviathan sent a signal to the enemy fleet. Helena's voice, translated for all, spoke with quiet strength. "This is Captain Grant of the Leviathan. You have attacked our people without warning. Leave now or face the full power of this ship. This is your only warning." The enemy fleet sent back a message full of laughter and pride. They were not afraid. Grant watched the screens, waiting. The enemy fleet stayed, showing no sign of leaving. He turned to his crew. "It's time," he said. "Let's show them who we are." The Leviathan moved closer to the enemy line. At first it looked slow and heavy, almost easy to target. Draven fighters fired their first shots, expecting the old armor to break. But the ship's shields, powered by ancient and secret technology, glowed with a soft blue light. The blasts bounced away, leaving barely a scratch. Inside, the crew felt the shock of the attack, but no one panicked. Helena guided the gunners, showing them which enemy ships were weak. The first shot from the Leviathan was a deep, thunderous blast. It hit a Draven cruiser, splitting it in half. The enemy fleet grew quiet for a moment. Krath's eyes narrowed. "That was lucky," he said. "Attack all at once. Don't stop." Hundreds of ships fired on the Leviathan. Explosions filled the space around it, but the ship kept moving, its engines pushing it forward. Old systems worked together in new ways. The shields grew stronger with every attack, taking energy from the blasts and sending it back to the ship's weapons. Helena's voice kept the crew calm. "Steady now. Target the nearest destroyers. Let's give them something to remember." One by one, the Leviathan's guns fired. Each shot was powerful, using weapons the galaxy had not seen in generations. Missiles moved through enemy shields like they were paper. Lasers cut through armor with ease. Draven ships exploded, their pieces flying in all directions. Inside the enemy fleet, panic spread. Pilots shouted over radios, asking for orders. Krath tried to regain control, but his officers were scared. They had never seen anything like this. The oldest ship in the galaxy was beating the most modern fleet. On the Leviathan, the crew worked as one. Engineers ran to fix any damage. Pilots kept the ship moving in perfect lines. The gunners followed Helena's orders, hitting target after target. Even the new recruits, who had been nervous, found courage as they watched the enemy fall back. Then the Yulari fleet appeared on the edge of the battle. They had planned to attack the humans after the Dravens were finished, hoping to steal the victory. Instead, they saw the Leviathan standing strong in the middle of destroyed enemy ships. The Yulari commander, Velra, hesitated. Her sensors showed the old human warship was far more dangerous than any report had said. "We wait," Velra told her fleet. "Let the Dravens take the risk." But Krath would not retreat. He sent his last, biggest battleship toward the Leviathan, hoping for a final strike. The two ships faced each other, heavy guns ready. Grant looked at his crew and nodded. "This is for harmony," he said softly. The Leviathan's main cannon charged with a deep, rising sound. The enemy battleship fired all its guns at once. The blasts shook the Leviathan, but it held together. Then the human warship fired. A beam of energy, brighter than anything the crew had seen, shot out and hit the enemy's heart. The Draven battleship exploded in silence, leaving nothing behind but burning metal. In that moment, the Draven fleet broke. Ships turned and tried to run. Some crashed into each other, desperate to escape. The Leviathan did not chase. It stood. Between the human colony and the enemy, a shield no one could pass. Across the galaxy, everyone watched. The news spread on every channel. The humans' old ship was stronger than anything else. People who had laughed now grew silent. Grant's crew cheered. Tears ran down the faces of some, while others hugged their friends. The AI Helena spoke, her voice full of pride. "Well done, crew. The galaxy will not forget this day." "Captain." Grant looked at his ship, then at his crew. He knew the war was not over. The Yulari fleet was still watching, and new enemies could appear at any time. But the message was clear. Humans would fight, and their strength was not just in new technology, but in the spirit and unity of their people. The Leviathan turned slowly, its engines burning bright, ready for whatever came next. The crew felt something had changed, not just in their world, but in the whole galaxy. From that day, the legend of the Leviathan would spread everywhere. Even the stars seemed to shine a little brighter as the ancient ship waited for the next challenge, stronger. than ever before. After the Draven fleet's defeat, the galaxy was stunned. News of the Leviathan's victory over a modern armada spread faster than any ship could travel. On every world, people whispered about the ancient human warship and wondered how something so old could be so powerful. Some thought it was a trick, others were frightened. Only a few understood what had really happened. Humanity had just changed the balance of power across the stars. Inside the Leviathan, the crew did not rest. The battle might be over, but space was still full of danger. The Yulari fleet was still near, watching the human ship from a safe distance. Their commander, Velra, was cautious. She sent small scout ships to gather information and listened to her officers argue about what to do next. "Should we attack now, while the Leviathan is damaged?" asked one Yulari officer. "We saw what happened to the Dravens," another replied. "If we attack, we could lose everything." Velra nodded. She knew the decision was difficult. Her fleet was powerful, but the old human warship had destroyed the Dravens in just one battle. Was it worth the risk? While the Yulari hesitated, Captain Grant and his crew made repairs. The engineers worked fast, sealing holes in the hull and fixing systems that had been hit. The AI Helena kept watch, scanning for threats and helping the crew stay focused. "Captain, the Yulari fleet has not moved," Helena reported. "They are waiting for something." Grant nodded. "Let them wait. We protect the colony first." The human colony nearby, still recovering from the Draven attack, sent messages of thanks. People there were safe for now, but everyone worried about what might happen next. Families packed their things, ready to escape if another attack came. Some even tried to send gifts to the Leviathan, but the crew politely refused. Their mission was not for reward, it was for survival and honor. On Earth and other human worlds, leaders gathered for emergency meetings. They had expected a hard fight, maybe even defeat. Instead, they now had hope, thanks to the Leviathan. The President of Earth sent a direct message to Captain Grant. "Your actions have inspired us all," the message said. "We stand with you. Reinforcements are on the way, but until then, you are the shield that guards us." Grant read the message quietly. He felt the weight of his responsibility more than ever. He gathered his officers in the Leviathan's command room. "We have shown the galaxy that humans will not be bullied," he said. "But we are not finished. The Yulari are watching us. They may attack or they may run. Whatever they choose, we will stand ready." The crew listened closely. Some felt nervous, but most felt pride. They had survived their first battle together, and now they trusted each other even more. Helena interrupted the meeting. "Captain, Yulari ships are moving. They are sending a small team to meet us. No weapons detected." Grant nodded. "Prepare a welcome. Let's hear what they want." The Yulari shuttle approached slowly, flying a flag of peace. Velra herself led the team. She was tall and calm, with silver skin and bright blue eyes. When she entered the Leviathan, she looked around with respect. "Captain Grant," she said, "your ship is a legend. We came to see it with our own eyes." Grant nodded politely. "Thank you. Why are you here?" Velra spoke honestly. "We want to avoid more bloodshed. The galaxy is tired of war. We want to offer a truce, at least for now. Let's talk instead of fight." Grant was careful. He knew the Yulari were clever. "We also wish for peace, but we will not let anyone attack our people again." Velra nodded. "We understand. You have our word." The two leaders talked for a long time. Helena recorded every word, watching for lies. In the end, Velra agreed to pull her fleet back, at least until the Galactic Council could meet. She promised not to attack any human colony. When Velra left, Grant watched her shuttle go. He turned to Helena. "Do you trust her?" The AI paused. "She is honest about wanting peace for now, but if she sees a chance to win, she may attack again," Grant sighed. "Then we stay ready." The Leviathan's crew felt some relief. They had won a great battle, and now even their enemies wanted peace, but no one let their guard down. Repairs continued, and every system was checked twice. The crew trained for more attacks, and Helena kept scanning the stars for danger. Meanwhile, on other worlds, the story of the Leviathan grew. Children played games pretending to be its crew. Alien. Diplomats sent secret messages, trying to learn more about the human ship. Some asked if humans would share their secrets. Others warned their own fleets to avoid the Leviathan at all costs. Back on the Leviathan, life settled into a rhythm. The cooks made warm meals for the tired crew. Friends shared stories about their homes, and old soldiers taught new recruits how to stay calm in battle. Captain Grant walked the halls every night, making sure everyone was all right. One evening, a young engineer named Lily stayed late in the engine room, checking the power cores. Grant found her there, working alone. "Why aren't you resting?" he asked gently. She looked up, tired but smiling. "I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. If there's another fight, I want us to be ready." Grant nodded. "That's the spirit that keeps this ship alive. Thank you, Lily." He left her to her work, proud of his crew. As the hours passed, a message arrived from the Galactic Council. They had seen enough destruction and wanted all sides to meet and discuss peace. The Council invited Grant to bring the Leviathan as a sign of human strength. Grant accepted, knowing that the eyes of the galaxy would be on them. The Leviathan set course for the meeting point. As it traveled through space, other ships moved aside, giving it plenty of room. Even pirates and scavengers avoided the path of the ancient warship. Inside the Council's grand hall, leaders from every major race gathered. The room was full of color and light, with banners from 100 worlds hanging from the ceiling. When the humans arrived, everyone fell silent. The Leviathan's crew walked in together, standing tall behind their captain. Grant spoke simply and clearly. "Humans want peace, but if we are attacked, we will defend ourselves with all our strength." The council debated for hours. Some races wanted to punish the Dravans. Others were angry with the Yulari, but most were simply tired of war. In the end, they agreed to a ceasefire. All sides would go back to their own worlds, and no one would attack another without warning. The meeting ended, and the human crew returned to their ship. They had helped win peace, at least for now. The Leviathan became a symbol not just of power, but of hope. As the ancient warship left the council world, its engines burned steady and bright. Grant looked out at the stars, knowing that peace could break at any time. But for now, his crew was safe, and humanity had proven itself to the galaxy. The Leviathan's legend grew with each passing hour. In schools, teachers told the story of the ship that saved worlds. On alien worlds, people wondered if their own ships could ever stand against such courage. And among the stars, the crew of the Leviathan stayed ready, watching, waiting, and hoping that the next time the galaxy called for heroes, they would answer once again. The Leviathan moved quietly through the dark sea of space, its engines humming softly as it traveled away from the council world. The great hall where peace was agreed had already started to empty. Alien leaders left one by one, each thinking about what had happened. Some were relieved while others felt uneasy. The image of the ancient human warship, standing strong and proud in the middle of the meeting, would stay with them for a long time. On board the Leviathan, the crew tried to relax after the tension of the peace talks. For a little while, there was laughter in the mess hall and music in the lower decks. People played cards, shared their favorite stories, and remembered those they had lost. Even Captain Grant allowed himself to sit with his officers and enjoy a hot drink. But deep inside, everyone knew this peace was weak. The galaxy had changed, and no one could say what might come next. There were rumors of new plans and old enemies plotting revenge. Some said the Dravans were building a secret weapon. Others believed the Yulari would not accept a world where Humans held so much respect. One evening, as the ship floated in quiet space, a faint signal reached the Leviathan. Helena, the ship's AI, picked it up first. Her calm voice broke the peaceful mood in the command center. "Captain, I am receiving a coded distress message from a human research station near the border. It sounds urgent. They are under attack." Grant's eyes grew sharp. "From who?" "The message is broken, but it looks like both Draven and Yulari ships are there," Helena replied. Grant stood up and spoke with purpose. "Set a course for the station. Full speed. Tell the crew to prepare for battle." Within moments, the II ship came alive with action. The engineers checked every system. Pilots plotted the fastest course. Gunners prepared weapons, their faces serious but determined. Even those who had never seen combat before moved with focus, trusting their training and their ship. As the Leviathan neared the research station, the crew could see flashes of light outside the windows. Ships fired on the station, which spun, helplessly in the darkness. Escape pods shot out, some making it to safety, others vanishing in a burst of flame. Helena shared what she found. "There are still people alive on the station. They're calling for help." Grant wasted no time. "Open a channel to all enemy ships." The message was clear and strong. "This is Captain Grant of the Leviathan. You are attacking unarmed. Humans, leave now, or you will face our full power." The answer was silence at first. Then, a Draven voice crackled over the speakers. "You think your old ship can save them? This is not your fight anymore, Grant." Grant's reply was steady. "You have one chance to leave." The enemy ships hesitated, then fired on the Leviathan. The battle began. Lasers and missiles streaked across the black sky. The Leviathan's shields absorbed the first hits. Its armor shook, but held strong. The crew worked together, Helena guiding the gunners to the weakest enemy ships. Engineers rerouted power to critical systems, shouting updates back and forth. The research station was caught in the crossfire. As explosions rocked its hull, a young scientist named Mark tried to guide survivors to safety. He called for help over the station's broken radio, hoping someone heard him. His voice was filled with fear, but he refused to leave anyone behind. On the Leviathan's bridge, Helena said, "Captain, survivors are trapped in the lower levels. The station's power is failing." Grant nodded. "Prepare a rescue team. I'll lead them myself." His officers protested, but Grant was firm. "These people need us. I trust you to command the ship while I'm gone." Grant and a small team launched a shuttle and sped toward the station. They passed burning debris, dodging enemy fire. When they landed, the air was thick with smoke. Lights flickered. Sirens wailed. Mark met them at the docking bay, relief flooding his face. "Hurry!" Mark shouted. "We have only minutes before the station loses air." Grant led the way, his team clearing a path through fire and rubble. They found groups of scientists huddled together, guiding them back to the shuttle one by one. The floor shook as another explosion rocked the station. Time was running out. On the Leviathan, the crew fought to hold back enemy ships. The gunners destroyed a Draven cruiser, and the enemy began to pull back, afraid of the ship's ancient power. The Yulari, too, started to retreat, realizing they could not win. Helena's voice was calm but urgent. "Captain, enemy ships are leaving, but the station is close to breaking apart." "We're almost done," Grant called over the radio. At the last moment, with the station groaning and sparks flying, Grant and Mark herded the final group of survivors into the shuttle. The engines roared to life, and they sped away as the station exploded behind them, sending a wave of light and debris across space. The shuttle returned to the Leviathan. Medics rushed to help the wounded. Survivors cried and hugged each other, thanking the humans who had saved them. Mark shook Grant's hand, his eyes full of gratitude. "You saved us," Mark said quietly. Grant shook his head. "We only did what was right. You and your team are the real heroes." The Leviathan set. a course back to human space, carrying the survivors to safety. All across the galaxy, word spread of the rescue. Humans had not only fought with strength, they had shown mercy and courage in the face of danger. In the following days, the Dravans and Yulari tried to explain their actions to the Council, but no one listened. Their fleets had failed, their plans broken by an old ship and a crew who refused to give up. The Leviathan's reputation grew even larger. Now the galaxy saw it not just as a weapon, but as a symbol of hope. Human leaders sent messages of thanks to the crew. Children on distant worlds drew pictures of the great ship, dreaming of one day joining its crew. Captain Grant called the crew together in the main hall. He looked at each face, tired, but proud. "We have faced darkness and danger," he said. "We have stood together, and we have saved lives. The galaxy now knows that humans do not run from fear. We do what is right, no matter the cost." The crew cheered. Some cried, some hugged their friends, and some just stood in silence, feeling the weight of the moment. As the Leviathan sailed through the stars, everyone knew more challenges would come. Old enemies might return, and new ones might rise. But for now, the crew could rest, knowing they had made a difference. Above all, the legend of the Leviathan continued to grow. In every corner of the galaxy, the name became a promise that even when hope seemed lost, heroes could still rise and change the course of history. The Leviathan traveled slowly through the galaxy, its hull marked by battle and history, but its spirit stronger than ever. Each room of the ship was filled with the hum of voices. Some people worked, some laughed, some remembered the rescue. At the research station, even though the war had paused, everyone knew the peace might not last forever. But right now, the crew found comfort in each other and in what they had done. Captain Grant spent many hours walking the ship, talking to his crew. He listened to their worries, thanked them for their courage, and reminded them of the power of unity. He knew every person's name and tried to visit each work area every day. Grant believed that a ship was only as strong as the people working together inside it. News about the Leviathan traveled quickly. On Earth and across every human world, people watched recordings of the battles, the rescue, and the peace talks. Children drew pictures of the ship, dreaming of adventure. On distant alien worlds, some still doubted humans, but many more began to admire them. For the first time, people across the galaxy saw humans as more than just another race. They saw them as protectors and friends. The Leviathan's crew repaired the ship and made it ready for whatever came next. Engineers checked each engine, fixing old parts and adding a few small upgrades. Helena, the ship's AI, watched over everything. She shared advice, told jokes, and reminded everyone to take breaks and eat meals. She had become more than just a voice. She was a friend to the crew. One day, while most people were relaxing, an alarm sounded on the bridge. The crew rushed to their stations. Helena spoke quickly but calmly. "Captain, multiple unknown ships are approaching. They are not Dravan or Yulari. Their signals are strange." Grant stood up, his face calm. "Show me the ships." On the screen, the crew saw a new fleet, ships shaped differently from any they had fought before. Their color was dark, their movement careful and silent. The crew watched as these unknown ships stopped just outside firing range. Grant opened a channel. "This is Captain Grant of the Leviathan. You are entering human space. State your purpose." For a moment, there was only static. Then a strange voice answered, translated by Helena. "We are the Veskari. We have watched your battles. We come not to fight, but to learn." The crew looked at each other, confused but hopeful. Grant answered, "What do you wish to learn?" The Veskari leader spoke. "We have watched the galaxy fight for power. We saw you win with an old ship and unity. Teach us what makes humans strong." Grant thought for a moment. "Meet us face to face. We will show you our ways." A small Veskari shuttle docked with the Leviathan. The alien visitors were tall, with deep blue skin and bright eyes. They moved slowly, curious about everything around them. Grant greeted them, shaking hands in the human style. The crew guided the Veskari through the ship, showing them the bridge, the engine room, and the mess hall. The Veskari watched as crew members worked together. They saw how humans shared food and stories, how they argued sometimes but always found a way to agree in the end. They watched Lily, the young engineer, fix a broken sensor, and Mark, the rescued scientist, teach others about new discoveries. Later, in a meeting room, Grant and the Veskari leader sat together. "Strength comes from unity," Grant said. "From caring for each other even when it is hard. Our ship is old, but every person on board adds to its power. We fight when we must, but we save others whenever we can. That is what makes us human." The Veskari leader nodded, impressed. "We thought power was only in weapons. Now we see it is also in the heart." Word of the meeting spread quickly. The Veskari promised to share what they had learned with their own people and to tell others in the galaxy about the strength of humans. Before leaving, the Veskari gave the Leviathan a small gift, a device that could heal small cracks in the hull, something even humans had not invented yet. As the Veskari ships left, the crew celebrated. For once, the galaxy seemed full of hope instead of fear. But peace never lasted long in the stars. Helena called Grant to the bridge a few days later. "Captain, messages from the Council. Draven and Yulari fleets are moving again. They may try to break the ceasefire." Grant listened to the reports. He saw enemy ships gathering near the borders. The crew grew serious again, readying the ship for battle. Grant stood before them, strong and confident. "We have faced enemies before," Grant told his crew. "We have protected the weak and made new friends. Now, others want to test our resolve again. But remember, the galaxy is watching. If we stand together, no power can defeat us." As the Leviathan moved out to face the new threat, old and new allies joined their side. Some ships came from human worlds, others from races that had seen the Leviathan's courage and wanted to help. Even a Veskari ship joined the fleet, showing that a new era of friendship had begun. The enemy fleets saw the combined force and hesitated. The legend of the Leviathan was now more than just a story. It was a warning. No one wanted to fight. The ship that had ended a war in hours rescued the helpless and united old rivals. Instead of firing, the enemy fleet slowed and then turned away. The ceasefire held. After the threat passed, the Leviathan and its allies returned home. This time, there was no laughter or cheering, only quiet pride. The crew had learned that sometimes the greatest victory is when no shots are fired at all. In the years that followed, the galaxy changed. The Council invited humans to lead talks for lasting peace. Grant became a symbol, not just for humans, but for all who wished for hope and safety in the stars. The Leviathan was honored at every major world. Its name was spoken with respect. On quiet nights, Captain Grant would walk the empty halls of the Leviathan. He would remember the battles, the friends lost and saved, the courage of his crew, and the hope they brought to a troubled galaxy. Sometimes he would sit with Helena, sharing old memories and dreaming of peaceful times. Children on distant worlds grew up hearing the story of the ancient warship and the people who sailed on her. They learned that real strength was not just in guns or armor, but in kindness, teamwork, and the will to do what was right. The Leviathan remained in service, always ready, always watching. Its crew changed over time, but the spirit of unity and hope never faded. And whenever new trouble rose among the stars, the galaxy remembered. The humans' ancient warship might be old, but when it joined the fight, everything changed, and that is how a legend was born, not just of a ship, but of the hearts of the people who called it home.